But now it's time for our political roundup. I'm delighted that once again he's back. I didn't think you were coming back.
Well, I'm here.
Well, you are
in
here.
the flesh.
But you said you weren't coming back. Now you're here.
Oh yeah, this before I start my new job. So
is that why you've got a new suit?
But yes, I think it is.
Is
and
it?
a new tie. So
is that why?
Yes.
I noticed. This is Bill Bowkett. He's a political commentator with Young Voices UK. So is this your last time with us?
Well, hopefully I'll be on TalkTV in the future.
Yes.
But I'm going to be up to Scotland for a couple of months to report on home affairs and politics.
Right,
so,
sort out that, will you?
Yes. But then I'll be back at some point.
Very good indeed. So you also, we were talking this morning about, there's a lot going on in politics this morning, mostly infighting in the Conservative Party. But you want to start, I believe, on the Green agenda, or at least ditching it.
Yes, and Boris Johnson seems to be turning back on his green agenda even more. We had the security strategy, of course, a couple of months ago, which turned back on the commitment to North Sea oil, and now it seems that ministers are going to be turning back on this post-Brexit scheme that would pay farmers up to £800 million a year to transform agricultural land into nature forests, coastal lands and so on. But the fund, which is called the Landscape Recovery Scheme, has been quietly slashed to just £50 million over 3 years. It's a victory for the farming lobby, and it seems
because the farmers were really unhappy about this, weren't they?
They really were, and this is seen as a cost-cutting measure, given the spike in inflation that we're having at the moment, and given now the rising sentiment within Tory party for tax cuts, it seems that the Green agenda is the obvious solution. Where has the Tory party been?
Asleep at the wheel for like 20 years?
We've been, the last times we've been on the show, you know, talking about giving a roundup in Westminster, we've been highlighting the Green agenda.
We have.
It has been the case. It was even the case during November, during COP26 as well.
Yes.
And it seems that they're finally waking up to it.
But do you think this is Emperor's new clothes? The whole of the country, you know, I've been banging on doors because there are elections going on, and when you talk to people, they're like, I don't care about the Green agenda. I care about actually being able to heat my house or put electricity in my house or actually drive the car to work.
I know, and given rail strikes as well, it's like, how's everyone going to get anywhere?
Well, I know.
It's like living in a rogue state.
Well, it's like living in the 1970s, and clearly neither of you are old enough to remember it, but I am.
I know.
And it literally is like going back to that. And I remember all of these strikes, the fact no one could do anything. And I was saying, Emma was shocked that we had to play Monopoly by candlelight. There was no electricity.
Yeah. Well, I think, well, if we're going to have to buy heaters, if that's the case, then...
Well, you can't afford them because the electricity is
But clearly the conservation groups aren't happy, and others have suggested, actually, that this might have a backlash, maybe in Tiverton, Hoverton,
oh, yes,
in the by-election.
So this is one of the by-elections, of course.
Yeah, one of the by-elections the Tories are predicted to lose.
Yeah, the Lib Dems look like they're going to do well there, don't they?
And the Lib Dems had a similar strategy, a hyper-partisan local strategy when they did the North Shropshire when it came to farming as well. So, but then is that tied directly to the Green levy? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure either. I'm not so sure. I mean, I think both of those elections are going to be, let's say, I have to be careful, but I think they're going to be very tricky for the Conservatives. Yes. That's a euphemism. Yeah, very tricky. And just in terms of what the farmers want, surely we need food security. Yes. So what we actually need to be doing is farming. Yeah, and this is why when you were looking at the papers yesterday about this review by the restaurateur Henry Dimbleby, he wanted to have a sugar tax, he wanted Britons to consume less meat, and Boris is just telling him to essentially just do one because it's all about post-Brexit security, regulation. Actually, one thing which hasn't been mentioned at all within the wider discussion around the common agricultural policy is gene editing, which is obviously now going through the House of Commons. Indeed. Which will hopefully be a solution to the current global food security crisis that has been spawned by the war in Ukraine. So there are solutions here, but tied within that, it seems that having to then protect and transform petlands and wildflower meadows really isn't a priority at this moment of time when taxes are at their highest for, you know,
well, I'm sure that was right. Okay, so what else have you got there?
Well, as I just mentioned, Tories at war over calls to cut taxes. As mentioned in the show earlier. Sources close to Johnson clash as MPs demanding urgent action and told to grow up.
I mean, that's extraordinary, basically telling your members of Parliament to grow up. This to me as a government out of control that is actually not able to keep discipline, isn't it?
No, it isn't, and the Sunday Telegraph understands that Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, will refuse tax cuts unless Mr Johnson identifies government spending that he's willing to cut fund such a move. Hence, the green agenda being the key
how
one
about
here.
HS2?
HS2, there could be another area. There's multiple areas, and I feel like we're almost coming to a second age of austerity in many ways, where we're going to see
I think
areas
so
across
too.
the entire society.
But I mean, you know, when you look at this, the Conservative Party is a party now of high tax, high regulation, low growth. That is not a natural place for the Conservatives to be. And many people very unhappy. I said earlier, Sajid Javid, people like John Whittingdale, Jake Berry, Tom Tugendhat, even Lord Frost saying, you need to get to, you know, to grips with this, or you will lose the next general election.
Yeah, and that's the whole point, is that cutting taxes is a vote winner at the end of the day.
Well, of course
and with
it is. People want their own money.
Yeah, and with Johnson facing growing demands to cut taxes as part of its overhaul of the government approach to the economy, I think I've heard that from MPs that council tax might be in consideration. Obviously, VAT is the big elephant of the room in all of this, with fuel prices reaching almost £2 a litre. But the Treasury is not willing to do tax cuts until November, and by that point, if we're going by the Bank of England's forecast, we're already going to be at 10% inflation, and the rest of society
sounds
is going
very
to be
jolly.
doldrums.
We've got 30 seconds left. Politics and Charles.
Yeah, just royalist and Tory MPs telling him stay out of politics. We live in a constitutional democracy where he's a head of state, but he has essentially no power, undermining the bicameral legislative agenda in this system that we have in this country. And genuinely, there are worries, and as the Sunday Express report, smugglers are having to boast on TikTok about how easy it is to get across the channel.
I have to stop you. Thank you very much indeed. See you after the break.